Think about what you did.
Nobody makes it to the end of these things. Come on.
The Broken Agenda Podcast. Sponsored by Laughing Rock Technology.
I'm trying to silver lining it for you. I'm trying to help you out. I want to be part of the solution.
It is pretty nice, though. I think we should do bumper stickers.
We should absolutely. At least the three of us should have our own bumper stickers.
Make a bumper sticker.
I don't do bumper stickers. We got to come up with something else.
Okay, T-shirts.
I don't do bumper stickers because nothing infuriates me more than somebody trying to tell me their opinion from the back of their car.
Yeah.
Like
It's like talking out their ass, right?
yeah, literally talking out their tailpipe.
That's kind of rude.
Oh, I hate bumper stickers.
And they make the car look crappy.
They make the car look crappy. All of them except for the stick figure family. Timeless.
Yeah.
Timelessly adorable.
Yeah.
Although, did you ever see that skit where there's a car wreck? And the mom comes driving up in the other car, and she goes running over the car, and the police officer stops her. He goes, ma'am, I can't let you go over there. And she's like, what happened? She's like, your family was in a car accident. And she goes, oh, my God, is my husband okay? He's like, your husband is okay. They took him to the hospital. He's fine. And they're like, she goes, what about my kids? And he goes, let me explain this to you simply. And he goes over to the car.
Oh, yes, I did.
And he just peels one of the stick figures away and hands it to her and goes, you're not going to need that anymore.
I did see that one.
It's so dark. It's so dark. But it's kind of funny, too.
Is it a joke video?
No, it's a real cop. It was a real thing. Happened. Documentary.
Like, was it like an edited video?
No, yeah,
I guess
it was
that's
like a
like they did like a little.
It was a skit. Yeah, it was a skit. It was an internet skit.
I remember seeing that. That's
like, I didn't know if it was somebody doing a joke in a
Could you imagine
moment they shouldn't be doing a joke,
Could you imagine if
was
a cop
like,
did that in real life?
or if it was like a commercial, or if it was like a semi-mini movie.
That would be a great commercial.
I guess that was my real question.
I don't know. I don't know the whole history of the skit. I just thought it was funny. That was all I saw. So I read half of an article online. So that's like all of my knowledge.
Yeah.
That's how I got it. So
It's a degree.
I overthunk it.
you did overthink it. You did that thing where you lasered down into it. We just lost a day.
Yeah, I did.
But it's a brighter future.
Yeah.
So you'll be good. So, what are we talking about today, guys? Oh, we're talking about global warming, aren't we?
Environmental impact in general, right?
On a 95-degree day.
I thought we were talking about climate control, like HVAC. That's what I did all my research on.
Are you serious?
No.
Climate control.
I just jimmied myself. Obviously, you're screwing around.
Yeah, I found these
It's
little.
gonna be the gullible episode.
I found these little plug-in air conditioners that will go right up with that episode. Remember that? Did you hear about that kid that created that air conditioner for his classroom?
No.
Yeah.
So the class was like 95 degrees and they couldn't study, and the school wouldn't fix the air condition. So he was like an engineer. I guess he maybe had to. I mean, he was a young kid. I think it was a high school kid, but he just studied engineering, and he ended up creating this air conditioning system. They plugged it in, and it cooled the room down to like 30 degrees in like 2 minutes.
That's amazing.
Yeah. So then.
Is he patenting this thing?
Well, no,
is
all
he
the
richest
apparent
high school kid in America.
Now I don't know if this is true, but apparently, like, he was approached by all these investors and major corporations. He got offers for it. He denied it, and he was expelled from school. Like,
Why?
he rejected the.
All right, we got it.
Offers.
Are you confirming this story?
Yeah.
All right, Tyler's on it. We're gonna.
I don't know. I'm telling you the backstory. I didn't investigate it, but
Well, that's right. We're gonna investigate it right now, live,
Okay, so-
semi-live, 2 weeks behind of live. And all right, kid invents portable air conditioner. Well, that seems like it's gonna help. What's his name? Ayan Mirza Beg. Is that what it says?
that's it right there.
That's a rickshaw thing, though. Oh, this is the little thing here.
Well, the two down is an actual story. Is that him?
Yeah.
You're right there.
This one. This
yeah.
is about a rickshaw, though. His dad in a rickshaw.
Yeah, but auto rickshaw driver's son invents air cooling system for father. Oh,
Like
gotcha.
India, like
Not
yeah.
Well,
Put
fourth
it this
grader
way,
makes
that
homemade AC
little-
unit for classroom. There's a video
That
right
little
there.
that little blue thing right there at the top is the product.
See, this is why we break our agenda every freaking week.
So it's this thing right here.
Mm-hmm.
I don't know how to work.
I'm gonna get one for the office.
I
and
don't,
see
I don't
how
know.
it
I
works.
generally
Or-
don't get my news from Pinterest, so this may
I'm
not
gonna
be.
try to avoid that.
Well, wait, now we're going to MIT student? I thought this was
That was the article.
All right, let's see what happens. I'm starting to lose hope in your... So I actually was working with my brother.
Oh, so he was an MIT student?
That's cool. MIT students
I
rock.
feel like that was like freshman.
That
opening
doesn't look
class
like
for
him, but
That's well, I mean, he grew
looks
up a
like
little bit.
looks like a new guy.
He grew up. and
No,
became Asian.
he actually looks a little bit more Chinese than the other guy. So, but
Was the other guy a little Chinese, and this guy's more Chinese,
Maybe.
or is the other guy not Chinese?
the other
and
guy
this
wasn't Chinese.
Okay, just trying to figure out the level of Chinese we're talking about.
it was like no Chinese.
Okay, so there's no Chinese, and now there's probably not the same guy then. They don't
Maybe it
usually-
was like a reenacted skit.
Now, just to be clear, that's not just a fan, is it? Like you didn't just put a fan in a cute box. Like it's actually cool and stuff, right?
Yeah, no, it's an air conditioner. You
Oh,
fill
yeah.
it with water.
Oh, is that one of those water? Okay, I've seen those
you
before.
put water.
Yeah, I've seen those before. Apparently, they work great.
It's the old swamp cooler.
Yeah, but they have real small areas though. They're not a very big area. They have
Supposedly
neck,
it
I
can
saw they
do-
have neck ones too.
It said it can
Yeah.
do 400 square feet.
Really? That's impressive.
Now there's a couple different sizes, so I don't know which sizes do what. But
I don't know. I was trying to invent. So my brother is a particle physicist, and he does work on neutrons. And for a while there, all he did was take different materials and shoot neutrons at them, which I thought it sounded cool. He said it's actually kind of boring. You're just shooting neutrons at stuff and then looking at data.
every day you shoot neutrons.
Just shoot neutrons. That's
So
it.
is his name Jimmy?
His name is not Jimmy Neutron. It's Paul. He messed it all up.
That's a shame.
As if you guys teamed up, you guys could be Jimmy Neutron together.
Yeah, I could shoot the neutrons.
You could. You could absolutely shoot the neutron.
And then
It's
he-
just a button, though. You just-
Yeah, I'll
But-
still shoot them.
But he found out, and I don't remember what material it was, but if he shoots neutrons at a certain material, it gets extremely cold. So, of course, now I'm an engineer. He's a scientist. So he's like, isn't that fascinating? And he's ready to move on. I'm like, whoa, slow your roll there, Skippy. Like, if we can make a small neutron emitter and fire it at that material, we could replace traditional air conditioning units with a closed system. Like, I'm starting to think, applications and everything else. And he's like, oh, I don't know anything about that. I just, I shoot neutrons. Yeah, 'cause he's like special
just
ed
pressed
neutron
the
boy.
button.
Yeah, nice. Ridiculous. So I'm trying to come up with it.
That's why he presses the button.
That's why he pressed the button.
Because he's a button.
So I had this great idea. I was getting all ready to start putting together prototypes and stuff like that. And then I took a look at my brother's lab, and I was like, oh, so it would cost us roughly $23 million to make one of these. And he's like, give or take. I'm like, yeah, that's probably not marketable. that's not market feasible. I
That's
was
why
like,
he.
fair enough.
That's why he said, "Hold on, I just shoot neutrons."
Oh, yeah, the
Yeah.
guy doesn't.
You can
It's
do-
government funded. He has no idea what anything costs.
Yeah, you can do. You
He's
can
spending
do
your
the 20,
money.
You can do the 23 million.
So that's why we don't have neutron air conditioners.
See, that's why you shouldn't cut them down so fast.
Well, we just got to make mini particle
You're a
accelerators.
little too quick to
You
judge.
gotta get on that. Just a little one. It's like a pocket-sized particle accelerator. All right. Anyway,
So what did we find out about this thing?
nothing. It's a little tiny
just-
air conditioner.
Yeah, it's a little
What do you think?
sponges with water in
It
it.
sounded better when you were saying it. Now that we actually see info, I'm not impressed.
Yeah,
Yeah.
I think that's been in Louisiana for like 40 years. 50
40?
years,
Yeah,
probably
they-
longer.
It's
Swamp
not
cooler.
40.
I mean, it's MIT. He probably made it better. But
Yeah, it's
I'm gonna order one and
but yeah,
test
swamp
it.
cooler.
it's a swamp cooler.
I'm gonna get one and test it.
There always used to be somebody would have them at like football camps.
Yeah,
Yeah.
yeah.
Our air conditioner in our office is broke. So,
Your air conditioner's broke.
well, it's an old air conditioner. It has the old Freon.
Is it because you were paying for it with Bitcoin, and now it's worth nothing?
Maybe it is.
I did buy some Bitcoin today.
It's a good day to buy Bitcoin.
I thought so too. I was like, you know what? I'm going to make a purchase. I was like, I don't know how far this. Maybe it'll go to zero. I don't know. And I just threw some money away today. But I don't know. We always talked 19. 19 was the magic number, and we're at 21. And I was like, that's close enough for me.
Yep.
So
Well, it could go a little lower, but
that's all right. I don't care if
It's
it goes
good
a little
time to
lower.
buy.
I don't want it to go a little lower and then jump up. And
it's just gonna
missed.
bobble around for a while, probably.
Yeah, it's gonna do the same thing it did at 3,000. Remember that after it dropped from 20 down to 3,
Yeah.
and it just kind of it skipped along the water for like a year,
Yeah.
and then went up to 65,000.
Yeah, because you can't just stop the economy, turn it off, and turn it back on.
You know what, and Mom? If you're watching this, I'm sorry. I got to bring up our conversation from yesterday. So I said that to my mom. I was like, "We did this. I was like, it's our own fault. Like this one's on us. Like we turned off the economy thinking it was like a modem and you could just reboot it.
Yeah.
I was like, you can't do that. Like you can't just turn the economy off and then while the economy's turned off, print a bunch of money and give it to everybody. Be like, have some money. It's not a children's birthday party and everybody gets a favor and you take a day off work. Like it's the global economy. And she's like, no. She goes, I don't know. I really think it's all this Russia stuff. And I'm like, damn it. It's like we were at 40-year inflation highs in January before Russia ever invaded the Ukraine. How could it be about Russia? Like, it started way before the Russia stuff. And she's like, I don't know. And I'm like, I can't have this conversation. I don't.
It was like somebody thinking they were turning off a light switch, but they actually ripped all the wiring out of the house.
Yeah.
And then they go back to turn the light switch on and wonder why it's not.
Well, between
like
those,
what's
they
happening.
burned the house down. And then they peed on the ashes.
Oh, yeah.
Then they went to turn the lights back on.
Yeah.
They didn't understand
And
why
then they're
they were
like,
gone.
where's the switch?
Where's the wall? All right, anyway. Global climate change, whatever. They used to call it global warming. Then they called it man-made global warming. Mm-hmm. But then they called it climate change, and now they call it global climate change.
I don't know.
Is that what the new?
I don't know what the current one is.
I don't know. They change it like every 5 years to keep us guessing.
It's just, change the marketing team.
So I wanted to start with, all right, so
The marketing
I do. They have a marketing team. Do they?
They
probably-
hired,
yeah, they do.
They
They
hired a
definitely
new
do.
marketing
Some
team.
sort of co-op or something.
So I have very, very, very strong opinions on this and a decent amount of research, and we'll get into all that. But before we get into this, what do you guys consider yourselves when it comes to the environment? Are you an environmentalist? Are you an environmental extremist? Are you environmentally aware? Are you environmentally agnostic? You don't give a crap? Like, where do you kind of fall on the spectrum of environmentalism? Like, is that so we kind of get a feel for where everybody's coming from?
Oh, I think it's there's a balance to everything. I mean, you can't obviously you have to be thinking about what you're doing. I mean, we're having some effect on it, and if we're careless, I think we're having some impact. I don't think it hurts to think about it, but they get a hold of the information and then they use a scare tactic.
Now, do you do any research on it? Like, are you aware of it, or you just kind of?
I don't know. I mean, I know
different.
I'd say broad sense. I don't have time to dig too deep into crazy things, but I mean, I look at space junk. I look at.
So you're like environmentally aware.
Yeah.
Okay.
I'd be aware.
Okay. How about you?
Probably environmentally aware.
Okay, so you're not deep into this stuff either.
No, there was a time when I kind of got into it, but it's probably been 10, 15 years. Like, I love nature. I hate seeing that we're logging everything and we're building houses on farmland when there's houses sitting empty.
None of
That
it
type of
makes you
stuff.
feel good, right? You read it, and it's just like you get a pit in your stomach, so then you stop reading it. How far do you go?
Interesting.
Yeah.
All right, cool. All right, just wanted to get a feel. I don't know if we had anybody that was super passionate or didn't really give a crap at all. All right, so everybody's kind of aware.
Yeah.
All right, gotcha. All right. So just so you know where I'm coming from, I would consider myself an environmentalist. I actually spent 3 months in the rainforest, living in the rainforest, going there doing terrabiology and marine biology down in Belize, and almost went to college for environmental studies. Like, that was something I was really into. So whatever we talk about today, remember that before you hate me.
It's close to your heart.
I do care a lot about it. There is a whole category that that not me, I didn't invent this term, but that is affectionately called environmental extremists.
It's like Weather Underground.
Or no, sorry, not environmental alarmists.
Alarmist.
Yes. And that is, I am actively at war with environmental alarmists because I'm going to reference this book a lot, so I might as well bring it up early. There's a book called, and anybody who's watching this, read this book. It might be one of the best books written in the last 10 years. And it's called, you can look it up on there if you want. It's called Apocalypse Never. And it's written by Shellenberger, a guy named Shellenberger. And what's his first name? I know his last name's Shellenberger. Actually, I shouldn't say that. Yeah,
Shellenberger.
Michael Shellenberger. And this guy I think he won a Nobel Prize in environmentalism. I think I don't know where his bio is, but I'm pretty sure he won a Nobel Prize. Just look at Michael Shellenberger Nobel
I
Prize.
think we talked about this book once before.
I talk about this book a decent amount because it was one of the most impactful books I've ever read. Because this guy dedicated his entire life to the environment. This is all he does. He travels the world. He's been on every single continent. He's been on every single major area on the planet. He's been in every rainforest. And he won a Nobel Prize for what he's done for the environment and everything else. And he actively speaks out against the climate alarmists, the Al Gores of the world, the Nancy Pelosi's, the AOC's, what's that little tiny chick from Norway, whatever the hell her name is.
I don't remember her name, but I know who you're talking about.
Yeah.
The Swedish girl or whatever.
Swedish, that's it. She's Swedish. It's like Bjorgen, Jorgen.
Yeah, something like
Bjork.
It's probably just Bjork. It's
Sister,
probably just
Sister
Bjork.
Bjork.
Is it? Do you even say the B?
Bjork
It's just. Is it Bjork?
Bjork.
Is it Bjork? Is that how you say it?
Bjork.
I don't know how to do that.
It's like bloom,
My grandfather was Swedish.
like a rock falling water.
We'll just call her. We'll call her Splashtastic. She's so Splashtastic is what's Splashtastic's name?
Greta Thunberg.
Greta Thunberg.
Oh, I remember her.
Yes. Yeah,
Oh,
like she looks very
gosh.
angry in the top left. She's very fired up.
She's gonna be a force to reckon
Yeah,
with.
she's gonna
Look at
say
her.
she's
So hateful at such a young
somebody's
age.
gonna marry that someday. It's gonna be terrible for them. It's gonna be a long 2 years before the divorce. Yeah, this people like it's insanity. So the reason he wrote the book, and this is why I love the book. The reason he wrote the book is because he had kids, and he realized that environmental alarmism was causing mental disorders amongst kids. Because why have any optimism for the future when everybody's telling you the world will be destroyed in 12 years? And that concept of the world will be destroyed in 12 years, that came out of a late 60s, early 70s paper that was written. An interview that was given where the guy was misquoted. And Shellenberger talks to the guy who originally made the statement in the book, and he goes, "No, I never said that. Misquoted." And they've been recycling a misquote to drive all of this environmental policy for the last 50 years. And it's always, you'll notice, it's always 12 years. And they did a study, and it's always 12 years for a reason. If it's shorter than that, it's too short. People feel like they have no say and that they might as well just give up. And if it's too long, they feel like it's not their problem and they'll worry about it later. And they figured out the magic number is roughly 12 years.
What is this?
It's the climate clock.
Okay, so they haven't changed it recently, so it's at 7 years now.
Yeah, but I don't know if that's because I.
Now, what
I
is this
just
thing
read a
gonna
stat
track
about
again?
That. The 12, and it was 12 years.
It's always 12 years. It has been 12 years since 1971. So in 1971, they said it would be irreversible damage by 1983. In the late 70s, they changed it to like 1990. In the late 80s, they changed it to like the early 2000s. And then Al Gore's book came out and said it'll be like 2012, which is why they made the movie 2012 or the world. They made a bunch of movies right around there. Now it's like 2030 or something like that.
So
That's
we have
about 7 years. Yeah.
So we have a
Yeah.
countdown.
So they'll update it to like 2038 soon.
So yeah,
Yeah, just always keep it at 12 years. But they always keep it at 12 years or a variation thereof.
So is this our official countdown to death and destruction?
In 7 years, 37 days, you personally explode.
That's nice.
Yeah, it's good to know.
It's
right?
it's really nice that they at least let people know.
No, I want to have.
I would rather be taken out by an asteroid.
It's. Wouldn't that be ironic? All the environmentalists are like, "Damn it!"
What if the asteroid comes flying in like as it's
Right as
come-
the clock hits 0.
hits a minute?
Oh, irony!
That'd
It's,
be interesting.
isn't it ironic? Don't you think?
Oh, that's gonna be stuck in my head.
Oh, it's such a terrible song too.
Yeah.
You know what? I re-listened to that. It was on. I was walking around Boscov's. It's don't laugh.
It's about the right place. No, I love Boscov's.
I
I
actually
love Boscov's.
You know what? As I get older, I appreciate Boscov's more and more. But I'm walking around Boscov's because my daughter takes a dance class at the mall. So every week I'm at the mall with about 2 hours to kill. So I buy a belt and a pair of shoes. I have a lot of belts and shoes because I'm a guy and I don't need anything. So I just buy belts and shoes.
If it's Boscov's, it's $10.
Because at Boscov's it's $10. I'm like, oh, all right. And I'm walking around and Alanis Morissette, Ironic comes on. And I really listened to it because I had nothing better to do because I was at Bosco. I really listened to all the words. And about 3/4 of the way through, I was like, oh my God, this is a freaking terrible song.
Absolutely horrible.
Absolutely horrific.
And that was the song of the year that I listed in my 3rd grade yearbook.
Okay, so why is it
Third grade.
why is it a horrible song? Why?
Well, first of all, none of the things
Why did
she
it take a
says-
walk in Boscov's to?
Well, none of the things she says are even ironic. By the definition of ironic, they're not actually ironic. Like, it's like, what is it? It's like 10,000 spoons and all you need is a knife. That's not ironic. That's just bad luck. You needed a knife and you went to a spoon store. Like, I don't. It's not ironic. Like, why'd you go to the spoon store? Like, that's your fault, idiot.
Yeah, death row pardon 2 minutes too late.
That's not ironic. It's bad timing.
Shitty timing.
Yeah, that's not. I feel like she didn't understand what the word ironic meant, but she still somehow pulled off a song people liked. Huh? It's like rain on your wedding day. That's weather. That's not ironic. That's like,
Poor planning.
That's yeah.
Should have had it inside.
I mean, None of them are ironic. Not a single thing she quotes in there is actually the definition of ironic.
Well, I find it ironic that
No smoking sign on your cigarette break. That's not ironic. It's not.
Just can't smoke there.
You can't smoke there. Go somewhere else. That's
Traffic
I find
jam
it
when you leave.
ironic that you don't like it.
traffic jam.
I find it ironic that you don't find it ironic.
It's very infuriating to me. All right, you found a hot button topic for me. Alanis Morissette has been renting space in my head for 30 years.
Anytime I hear the word ironic, that's what pops into my head.
Yeah, it has to, because it's a terrible song.
I feel like I'm going to be thinking of the word ironic now
I want you to read that
for a
song.
much longer time.
You will. You won't be able to get it out of
I
your head.
actually didn't really question the fact that what she was saying wasn't ironic. I just
Well,
thought,
that's because you didn't go to Boscov's.
I thought, that sounds ironic.
If you had gone to Boscov's and really listened to the song, you'd understand. All of my great literature and musical breakthroughs came at Boscov's. Or
I
McDonald's.
think that it was ironic that you were walking through Boscov's when this song came on.
Not ironic. It's just oddly fortuitous.
Can you tell me what fortuitous is?
I don't know.
I've heard the word. Oh. That's a real word, isn't it?
Yeah, it's-
Fortuitous.
Tyler's all over the Googles today.
That's what we need.
Because no matter what we say, Tyler's like, bang, there it is. Look at it. If you're listening to this and not watching it, you're missing the greatest Google show of all time.
Now hiring Master Googler.
Is that what they call it now?
I think it is.
It's, well, you know, he
master
spends a lot of
Googler.
time alone. Got to Google something.
We're really floating around here today.
All right, so tell me, what did you guys want to talk about with global warming?
Well, I want to know what that word means first. before we move
Fortuitous?
on. Yeah.
Fortuitous? It means fortunate. Like,
Happening by luck, chance,
okay.
or fortune.
yeah.
Accident or chance rather than design.
Okay.
That's one thing they don't tell you about having kids. You get really good at explaining what words mean without using the same word.
Yeah.
Yeah, because they don't know what any words mean. They have terrible vocabulary. Just the worst. And they're always like, what's that mean, Daddy? And it's like, crap, I got to explain without using the word. Hold on. And then you always use a word they also don't know.
Yeah, then you're explaining that word.
And now you're stuck in a word loop. It's just a series of words where you're like, damn it, you have to know one of these. Can we agree on a word? And I'll do the 7 degrees of 7 bacon back to your original word.
It's a little harsh on your little girl, isn't it?
I wasn't talking about my kid. I was talking about yours.
Oh.
They come over and ask me about vocabulary all the time.
Oh, do they?
No, they don't.
I was wondering why they never asked me about it.
All right, so seriously, back to the environment. So what did you guys want to start with? Because I got all sorts of stuff. I got stuff on top of stuff.
Well, you're a professional here, so why don't you?
How the heck am I? I'm a tech guy, man.
No, you just
the
told us at the
environmentalist.
beginning of the show
Yeah.
that you're an environmentalist.
All right, well, you know what? First of all,
And
let's
we're
talk
just
about
aware,
let's
so-
talk about energy. So roughly 7 to 10% of the world still burns wood for fuel. Wood is hands down the worst thing for the environment of
Yep.
any energy source you can possibly find. Hands down. It has no density to it. It barely gives off light. Its heat is erratic. It's a terrible. Now, wood pellets are a little bit better. Like the more you can control it, the better. But wood, by and large, is an absolutely horrible fuel. So now we're at war right now. Energy density and the ability to burn it clean is a very real thing. So one of the best things that ever happened to society since the beginning, since the population boom of the Renaissance, was really coal. It was one of the best things that's ever happened. So because coal is such a denser and better fuel source than wood. So we had deforested, I don't know if you know this, we had basically deforested all of Europe heading into like the 1800s. There was no trees. We had cut everything down just for heat and light.
Yeah, that's pretty bad. That's pretty like our deforestation.
Well, we've
issues
reforested
have
almost
it.
all of
Yeah.
Europe because of modern energy. So coal's your next step, right? So everybody wants to hate on coal, but coal is a huge step forward for any society. Look at Indonesia. There's entire areas of Indonesia where they 100% rely on wood. Entire areas of Africa, South America.
Well, we talk about like here, like we have Centralia, and many people across the country, like Centralia, the coal mines are on fire. Right?
Oh yeah, they're still burning.
So if you're not from our neck of the woods, this fire has been burning for
70s.
Yeah, since the 70s.
50 years. So the mine's caught on fire and they've been burning. They evacuated the town. Did you ever see the road up there?
Yeah, it's crazy.
They have
The
graffiti
graffiti
highway.
road.
They're
think it's
like
gone now,
they're
though.
burying it.
Yeah, they're getting.
They're
rid of it.
taking like truckloads of dirt in there and fill, and they're burying the road. Like we went up there. My sister wanted us to see it. we went in there and they just like they're just literally filling it in. It's kind of like crazy because it was neat. The whole highway is abandoned and it's nothing. Like it's just a trail for people to walk on. Yeah. So, but now they're burying it.
Yeah, I think they're closing off all access to Centralia too.
Yeah, they're
if they haven't
basically
already.
shutting the whole.
Yeah, because
the whole
pretty
area down.
soon it's just gonna like all of a sudden one day it's gonna erupt into flames.
No, it's going to cave in. So what's happening is the structural integrity of the landmass underneath Centralia is burning away. It's creating massive cavities, and it's going to start just sinkholing itself, just caving in. That'll eventually put it out. The caving in is the solution, but you don't want to be there when it happens. It's going to be ugly.
But hasn't this caving in been happening for 50 years?
Yes.
Now? Like they just have no idea. Because that's
Yeah.
why they bought up.
You
all
don't
the
think it's
houses and
ever
stuff.
gonna breach
Yep.
out of the ground? You think it's just gonna?
It's just burning in it.
No, but because it's a slow smolder. It's not
like a flame.
Yeah, it's like a raging fire.
roaring fire.
It's just smoldering underground, and there's not a lot of oxygen under there either, so it doesn't have a lot of fuel. But
Yeah,
it's just
but what happens when like if something caves in and the oxygen?
probably have a flare up, but then it'll even back out again. I mean, it's never going to be a raging hot fire. I mean, it's still, one, it's coal. Two, it's mixed in with dirt, which is non-flammable. And three, there's no real outside support for it. So eventually it's gonna die down. What you really gotta do is you gotta starve it. So the cave-ins should kill the oxygen to it. But who knows? It could take another 50, 100 years. I mean, you don't know how long it can burn before it kind of runs out. So yeah, that's a crazy. And there was areas where it was so hot that your shoe could melt to the ground because the surface.
It's because of the surface, yeah. There were still people living there as recently as 2015, I think.
Yeah, I think you're right. Well, I mean, I don't know why, but
It was people that were really old and didn't want to give up their land. I think a lot of people believed it was
5 permanent residents in 2017.
a government grab at just getting their land type deal.
So they burned it.
So they burned it, and
get
these
the
people
land.
held out. Yeah,
Yeah, we should buy up all the Centralia land.
we should, man. It'd be
Get
hot
ahead-
real estate.
Ahead of the curve.
Yeah.
Yeah. Once that fire goes out, they're gonna come flocking back. So,
Maybe they obviously thought wrong. I guess seems like.
yeah, I don't think that's a government thing. There's no way the government could pull off a 50-year fire. They're just not that. They're not that smart.
Yeah, it's too much coordination.
It's way too much coordination.
we need to fill those coal shafts up again.
Exactly.
They're driving in coal trucks at 2 a.m, filling the shafts.
Well, did you know that coal, though, actually, as of about the early 80s, I believe it was, sometime around the late 70s or early 80s, once they reinvented clean burning coal burns at almost the exact same cleanliness as natural gas.
Really?
99% is close to natural gas. Now, it releases more carbon. But as far as air pollution, now for me, air pollution is what matters. I feel like carbon is a thing that we're going to, whatever. I don't think carbon is nearly as bad as they keep advertising it to be. Carbon as a byproduct is a well-documented byproduct. The ocean and the forest, so the reforestation, that we're actually been increasing forested land almost in every single part of the world for the last 30 years. So the United States has been increasing forested land. Europe has been increasing forested land. People don't realize that because we've gotten better at drawing more out of agricultural land. So we need less agricultural land to generate more crops. And industrialization. You and I were talking about this the other day. Industrialization is a key part of every country must go through because it drives migration to cities. Migration to cities cause population density, which gets people out of the country and allows the country to recover from overpopulation. So we're seeing this right now in Indonesia again. But in Indonesia, you're seeing a lot of people making, basically living off the land. They're wildly impoverished. 2-room houses for like 12 people. Mm-hmm. And they grow rice and a couple of other crops and they sell whatever is extra, but there's really nothing extra. And they build their own house and they barely survive. Then they go into inner cities and there was a huge movement about 20, 30 years ago against sweatshops. You guys probably remember this, the big fight against Nike and all the sweat. But the story they didn't tell was the sweatshops were massive improvements in lifestyle for most people. Like in those areas, going from making zero to making like $3 a day and living in an urban area. I mean, yeah, they weren't living like you're living. It was not a good situation by our standards, but by their standards, it was phenomenal by where they were headed. And that was how industrialization starts. You have to go through industrialization. Every society must, because it gives you all the skills that you need to move into the next generation. You have to move through that. Every society has. Every modern society has gone through industrialization. Every up-and-coming society right now, like China, Brazil, all of these developing nations that are making their jump into first world countries all went through heavy industrialization. And the thing they don't tell you is industrialization reduces pollution. It doesn't increase it. It moves people away from bad fuels. It moves people into more dense population centers where you can heat and cool more centrally. So there's industrialization is the first step towards fixing the problems. It is not the enemy.
Can we just have this conversation the last episode, right? This is
not the last episode. You and I had it off camera.
Oh, did we?
Yeah. Because you said, let's just give everybody solar panels. And I said,
yeah, that's right. That's right. Okay.
Yeah, and I said it won't work. That doesn't work like that because, first of all, solar panels are made from fossil fuels. And they're made through industrialization products. So if you just give developing nations solar panels, you now create a vassal state, which you must constantly be giving them everything they need because they don't have the fundamental skills. The trick is you got to get them to the point where they can produce. Once they can produce, they can trade. Industrialization allows you to produce. Once you can, it doesn't matter if you're producing what you need. You got to produce something anybody needs. Now you can trade. Now you can trade for things that you want. Maybe it is solar panels. But if you don't have the ability to produce, you can never get away from just surviving. So you have to go through industrialization. This is an ugly path we all must take.
I mean, I still don't get my head around the fact like you have to go, like that you can't start off at a different starting point somehow, like, and only because it's only like
there may be a starting
to think that we're pigeonholed into everybody has to destroy their environment and you got to destroy all issues in order to get ahead.
But that's the opposite of what I'm saying. Industrialization doesn't destroy the environment. Industrialization is actually the first step towards. America has been reducing carbon emissions since the 70s. As a first world nation, first world nations have the lowest, the highest decreasing carbon emissions per population of anything in the world. The most detrimental societies are the ones that didn't go through industrialization. So if you don't go through that, you are destroying the environment. You have high population centers that are burning wood and crappy coal, not clean coal. They're just throwing it in a fireplace and just burning coal.
Here would be my point. Here would be my point. My point would be, I can't, like, let's just say that we flew off and we go and we habitat and we go and we like land on Mars. Mm-hmm. We're not going to go there and set up, coal and fire burners. We're going to go there with the technology we have. We're going to start from there. Okay. And then we're going to try to evolve from there.
So based on Elon Musk and the Artemis program, what is the plan for Mars?
Well, I don't follow Elon Musk and his Artemis program.
No, Artemis is the NASA. Elon Musk has its own program.
My thought is
both
land there.
Both of them are going to Mars, and they both have plans. I follow both.
Okay, I think we land there on a spaceship with some kind of sophisticated equipment and an understanding for how to do scientific things, whatever those scientific things are, right? So you're going to have very bright people land on this planet. We're going to understand the materials that are on that planet. We're going to learn how to take those materials, create different things, and start at maybe a different level. I would hope that we're not going to go up there and
so what I didn't hear you say is what
live
you
like
said
villagers.
We're not going to send solar panels, and we're going to learn industry there.
Right.
Yeah,
but we're going to
exactly what we need to do here. You need to learn how to build what you can build.
But we're going to go there with a much more deeper understanding of engineering, as opposed to going back to the Stone Age.
For both of those programs, they looked at their environment and they figured out what is going to be the most economical way to bring energy to those environments, and they both came to roughly the same conclusion, which is the majority of the atmosphere on Mars is carbon dioxide. So they are going to use the atmosphere. Plus, they're going to extract energy from the ground, and they're going to generate, basically have fuel generators that are going to make chemical compositions that are going to make up, what are they going to make? Go ahead and look up the...
so they're going to almost create some new type of fuel? Or?
No, it's the same type of fuel. They're going to use... shoot. Now you got me. You caught me. I'm having a senior moment. I apologize. Artemis is NASA.
We'll let you go.
So
we'll let you slide.
That may not. No, but what they're going to do is they're going to draw. They're going to draw the atmospheric. Jesus Christ.
So why can't
How are they going to make fuel on Mars? How to make fuel on Mars? Just look that Yeah, the microbes I had read. The biofuel's not the biggest one. The easiest way. So go to most of it's going to be carbon dioxide and mixed with the second. Yeah, go into there. Produce
This
carbon
one.
dioxide versus electrolysis. Yeah, this is really what we're talking about. So they're not going to constantly be resupplying with solar panels or anything like that. First of all, you've got about a 30% drop in solar energy on Mars. So you're going to get a lot less out of solar panels while you're there. They might start with solar panels. It's a good way to start. I mean, that's how the rovers run. It does work. But ultimately, they're going to need more energy than they're going to get out of solar panels, and solar panels are way too heavy to ship. And it's going to be a long time before we can manufacture them there.
Yeah, I didn't say it like as if solar panel is this
No,
like
you're right. You didn't say
grant.
that.
I didn't mean like we should go solar. Like I was a for instance kind of.
The electrolysis, carbon dioxide, is then mixed in a second step with water to obtain methane. That's what I was struggling with.
So this is
they're either going to pull the carbon dioxide directly out of the atmosphere, or they're going to use electrolysis to generate the carbon dioxide, and then they're going to make methane by using water, which they're going to pull out of ice, which we know is on Mars.
okay. So if we evaluate our methods of generating energy here on planet Earth, at what level is this process falling?
We call that a greenhouse gas, and we hate it.
Okay.
So methane is what.
And
comes,
is this better than burning wood?
Yeah. Well, any type of wood is the worst, hands down, bottom level.
Better than burning oil?
Yes.
Okay.
Wood is worse than burning oil. Wood is the worst.
Okay. So
coal-
we're already 2 to 3 steps ahead.
Coal would
if
be
you
the
get
next
coal,
highest.
carbon, or
Then you've
coal
probably
and
got oil.
wood. Oil.
Then you've probably got natural gas and propane kind of live together. They're kind of like side by side. They're probably the cleanest of the naturally producing gases. Methane falls in that category too. Methane is you ever see the torches running at like a landfill?
Yep.
Yeah, that's naturally emitting that methane from the decomposition of all of our trash, and they're burning it so it doesn't just go into the atmosphere. But it burns clean, so they just have a torch running there that's being fed by microbes. Once you get past natural gas, it gets real ugly. Now, the king above that would be nuclear. So nuclear is very clean with the exception of nuclear byproducts.
Is there any trees on Mars? There's no trees on Mars.
There is no trees on Mars.
So we can't even do that anyway.
There's no life on
So we're
Mars.
already going to start at Mars. We're going to start at like a level 4 or level 5 of technology when we land there.
Well, no, we're going to be burning greenhouse gases.
But we're not going to burn trees. We're not going to burn coal. We're not going to burn.
No, we won't burn any of that stuff. You're right. Yeah.
Right. So we're going to start at more of an advanced.
Yes, we'll
level.
use our chemical knowledge to move straight
Right.
into greenhouse gases.
So that's why I'm saying, why can't we do that here? Why do we have to run everybody through?
Well, because methane is the reason they want to ban cows. Like the stuff we're going to use on Mars is the stuff they want to ban here. So you're kind of cross-talking yourself there. We're going to use the same stuff we hate to fuel a society on Mars. Now, granted, we don't care about the atmosphere on Mars because it's already unbreathable.
I read
And
something
if
that
you
they
added
found.
more carbon dioxide to the atmosphere on Mars, it might warm up, which is not a bad thing. Look. All right, we got to take a break.
Okay.
And then we're going to have a short back half. But we're going to get into, I like that you brought up Mars because what we're doing right now to Earth is a very basic form of terraforming. And I'm a silver lining guy. It's all good. So let's talk about where this leads with Mars and Earth and everything else after the break. Thank you. Let's come back to that.
There is a tree on Mars.
All right, hold on.
Oh shit.
Hold on. Let me start the back half.
Oh,
man.
shit.
Here we go. We're back, and there's a tree on Mars.
Yeah, that's a
So,
tree.
no, go to the color one. Go
The
to the color
color-corrected
tree.
one?
Color corrected tree. That's a tree.
Yep, that is
That's
definitely a
that
tree.
looks like rich mahogany. It's what is that? A petrified forest? What is going on there with that one?
Which
right there?
one?
Yeah, that one.
This one? Stump crater.
Oh, it's a crater.
It's a crater.
Jeez, that made me nervous for a second. That like the Mars rover bisected a Mars tree, and I had to like buy Jimmy a car or something. I don't know what I'd have to owe him for that.
I don't know. I'm sold. There's trees on Mars.
Yeah, there's clearly trees on Mars. Well, I apologize. Sorry, Elon. Jesus.
Imagine how much a piece of furniture would cost being made out of that.
Yeah, that would be sweet.
I want the only chair made from the Mars tree. And then I'm going to throw it in my fireplace. Just gonna burn it. Just burn that wood and just add it to the atmosphere. Interesting. Do people? Is that a conspiracy theory? Do people
It's
actually?
a UFO hunter claims Martian trees. So
Why,
yeah,
why
I
would
think
you
so.
claim that? That doesn't even make any
What's
sense.
a Martian tree? It's just a freaking tree. Because why? Because it's a planet.
You know
There's
what's
trees on planets.
You know what's cool? Like, trees on planets.
You know, it's just not a Martian tree. It's
Is
a
that why they
freaking tree.
excluded Pluto?
Because I had no
They
trees.
had no trees.
Without any
It's
trees,
that
and-
simple.
Well, I know
The fourth criteria.
Uranus has no trees.
Hey.
Depending on who you are.
Hey, like 5 episodes ago, we decided we're going to leave my anus out of this.
Oh God.
Okay.
Oh, gotcha. Sorry, I misunderstood.
Yes, obviously.
Yes. Do you ever see this one?
Oh my God.
The little statue.
That's a dude sitting there. He got what's that called?
He's walking to the tree.
No, he's got hit by a volcano.
No, that's a Bigfoot.
That's NASA's footage.
That's a Bigfoot on Mars. He's totally. That's completely a Bigfoot. What is that other one there? Is that a frog rock or what
Which
is that?
one?
Middle
This one
one,
here?
top.
Look at this. It's
This here?
obviously was an inhabited planet. It's so crazy.
Is that an iguana? What is that?
Kind of looks like something that got caught in Pompeii. Just like an animal or something.
Yeah, that's what it looks like, a Pompeii incident.
I mean, I saw that Val Kilmer movie.
Doesn't have to be an
Which one?
iguana.
I
It
think
could
was
be
just
a
called Mars.
guubula.
I don't know if I saw that one.
You didn't miss anything.
No.
That was terrible.
Saw Mars Attacks. That was a good one.
That was awful.
Mars
Awful.
Attacks.
This was an awful movie.
Brains in the jars. That's awesome.
This is just the worst. And then they rebooted it, and it was just as bad. It got even worse on the
I
reboot.
showed that to my kids, and they were terrified for like a year.
Were they from that movie?
From Mars Attacks? Yeah, I don't know why. I mean, they were kind of young when I
Because they
showed it
thought
to them.
Mars was.
You want to really break their brain? You ever watch The Boys on Amazon?
No, we haven't seen that one. You know,
Don't watch it with your
don't
kids.
watch. No.
Not an episode goes by without a human body exploding into gore.
God.
It is the goriest thing I have ever seen in my entire life. It's like a contest. Like they're all sitting around like, how can we make a human explode in this episode? More gross than last episode. And they do it. Every episode they do it better. And I'm kind of proud to be an American.
Jackson wants to see Tremors right now.
Oh, that one gave me nightmares.
I still remember the guy like fried up on the electrical thing. Like he's just hanging off of it. The like big
Tremors is when
Oh, I
they come
just-
out of the.
they're coming out
Is
of
that
the
the
ground?
worms coming out of the
Yeah,
ground?
I just remember the dude with the elephant gun.
Yeah.
That was when
Bert.
that was when I fell in love with guns.
Yeah.
I was like, look, what? An elephant gun? I was like, when do I get one of those? Like, how old do you have to be to buy one of those, Dad? He's like, shut up.
No elephant gun for you.
He died, but he took one of those Tremors with him.
Bert lived, man. He's in like all 8 of them. Yeah.
Didn't he die in the basement? Who died in the basement?
No, he came. I think it looked like he died, but then he came back.
Oh, that's
at the
right.
end.
He made it. Oh, spoiler. In case you guys missed that 1982 movie. Spoiler alert. Bert lives. I self-admittedly haven't seen that movie in probably 4 decades. So
Yeah,
it's 3 and a
it's
half.
been a while.
I do remember. It was terrifying, though. That was absolutely horrific. That one, there was some Chucky.
Oh yeah, Chucky.
Chucky messed me up. And you go back and watch that now, and it is the worst movie ever made. It's not even remotely scary. But that one messed me up when I was a kid. No, what else? What else was scary when we were kids?
Freddy.
Freddy was scary. Freddy didn't like get me.
Jason was actually scariest.
Well, no, only if you were a teenager having sex. Otherwise, you were pretty cool with Jason. Like you were gonna be okay. Just don't be doing it in a trailer out in the woods near a lake.
Here's a question: who was the original monster in what is Jason? Jason's Friday the 13th. No, that's Friday the 13th. Who's the original monster?
The original monster.
I never saw the original Friday the 13th.
It's Jason's mom. Jason's mom is the original. Jason is just like the guy that carried through the rest of the movies.
Stew on that, Jimmy.
I forget.
She was the one killing everybody.
Yeah. Yeah.
My brain hurts.
It's, you know,
Can we get back to Mars?
but you know, Fresh Prince.
And the trees.
Fresh
that are-
Prince sang about
the trees
Nightmare
on Mars?
my street.
Oh yeah, I just saw that video
Yeah.
like a couple weeks ago.
was like,
Because that got, I think they took that off the air because it was too close to the movies or something.
It was so good.
Yeah.
It was so good. I knew every word of that song. I was right up there with CNC Music Factory and all the rest of them. Those are back in the days when you listen to the radio over and over and over again. You tape it.
Yeah.
You had the double deck tape and you were recording it. And
Then you
audio
record it
editing.
twice just in case the one got messed up.
Yep. And then they made the
make your-
double-sided record.
Make your
Memorex.
favorite song 2-3 times in a row.
The double-sided 180 Memorex, well, that was king though. You could have like an entire playlist and just flip that tape over and keep going, and that was a party for hours. That was how you do it.
They have tapes on Mars.
I mean, yeah.
They have.
That
I mean,
makes
we
the
know they
trees.
have trees now. So
I don't. I'm so over the conspiracy theorists. Like this stuff, like the Coke cap.
those
on
are
the
good
moon.
pictures.
You
I
see
haven't
that
looked
one?
at Mars
Coke
pictures
cap?
for
Yeah,
a while.
look up Coke cap on the moon. We're not doing a conspiracy theory episode, so we can't do this all day. But
We didn't finish the good Mars pictures.
yeah, go ahead. Where is it?
Coke cap on the
Wasn't it
moon.
a Coke cap? It was something like that. It was like a Coke cap or something. No, it was something. It was trash on the moon or something like trash on the moon. There was a photo, and they found like I thought it was a Coke bottle cap.
Well, somebody probably sent it
There's
into
that first
space
picture there.
and it floated over there and
Just in
landed.
the trash we left.
No. There's like a. I thought it was a. Well, all right, we're not going to waste time.
They probably-
I'm pretty sure it was a Coke bottle. Like they were. The theory was that it was shot in like Nevada. And
And somebody left something.
somebody
laying on the
left like a Coke bottle cap on the ground, and it got caught on camera, and they found it, and they're like, see, Coke bottle cap. And I remember seeing it, but we'll find it.
Or maybe it fell out of the space shuttle and then
They bring a lot of Cokes up in the space
it fell, and then it fell down
or
to the
just
moon.
the caps.
Well, they had the drink, but
Had to drink.
they drank it, but the cap got out of the shuttle somehow, and then it fell to the moon's surface.
Oh, Jimmy, you're priceless. That's all right. Anyway, Mars. No, not Mars. Global warming. How did we get to Mars?
I don't know. We went down a what are those
Okay,
things called?
so
Tangents.
so I was watching about global warming in general,
Okay.
how the ice caps are melting. So I thought, okay, what does it matter? But then we talked about the polar caps being like almost a cooling mechanism, and that to me seems kind of detrimental, right? So if the polar caps are actually cooling the planet and then they go away, we might actually be too close to the sun to survive.
No. Well, first of all,
Right.
I wholly discount that entire theory because the Earth was here during dinosaur times. There wasn't polar ice caps.
Yeah, it was extremely hot.
It was much warmer than it is
Yeah.
now. And in fact, there was significantly more oxygen in the air, and there was more other things in the air. The air composition was very different too. But there's a lot more. There's a ton of carbon dioxide in the air, and there's a ton of oxygen in the air. There's not nearly as much nitrogen as there is now, which is why we had such huge trees, such huge animals, and biodiversity was exploding during those times. So now, was there more water because less of it was trapped in ice? Yes. Now, the problem we have with the ice cap melting theory is they've been ringing this bell for decades, and sea levels really haven't risen. Now, I do believe that if you're going to have rising, if you believe in rising global temperatures, which, it definitely seems like regardless of who's creating it, whether it's natural or it's man-made, it does seem to be a trend upward in global temperatures.
Well, you can see the ice caps melting, and then
Well,
even if the
no.
ice caps melt, you still have areas that are hot where the water's going to evaporate. So I don't know that you can necessarily say that just because the ice caps melt, all the water's just going to flood the planet. I mean, if the water's evaporating, it could be evaporating in some places as quick as it's going up.
No, maybe that's a lot of water trapped in ice. So if you were to melt all that right away, you would absolutely have, significant sea rise. There's no way around it. Now, the real question is, some people say that as it melts in the northern pole, it's adding to the southern pole. I don't know that I buy into that. There seems to be melt happening in the southern pole as well. Other people say that the melting adds ice to the North Atlantic and to the Antarctic Oceans, which actually cools the water, which actually changes global climate patterns. The problem we have is that all of the claims are being sussed out by history. So we have actually had less hurricanes, definitely less severe hurricanes over the last 50 years, increasingly declining. When they keep saying we're going to have more extreme weather, but if you look at it objectively, we've had less extreme weather. We've had more media coverage of extreme weather, but we've had less extreme weather, which really screws up the whole theory that global climate change is affecting weather, or at least in a negative way. we're also seeing a lot of issues where I totally just lost my train of thought here. We were talking about
Weather.
Yeah, we're talking
Less
about weather. And the extreme level of the weather has been actually declining as well.
Yeah.
So I think a lot of this is when you're looking for something, you're going to find it. So if you're looking for extreme weather, every hurricane validates you. But
Bias, isn't it?
it's a bias.
Yeah.
It's we're bringing our bias to the table. We want to see it. We find an example of it, and we talk about it nonstop, which makes it seem more common. But we're not actually seeing the things that we thought we'd see 20 years ago. Like when Earth in the Balance came out, Al Gore's book in 99 or whatever that was.
Yeah.
They were obviously saying that by 2010, 2012, that we were going to be beyond the point of return, and that most major cities would be dealing with massive flooding because of rising sea levels, and that extreme weather would be destroying massive parts of the world on a regular basis. None of that has come true. And the reason why is because our models are fundamentally flawed. And the reason for that is because we're discounting technology, for one. We're discounting our ability to look. The human race's great gift is its ability to engineer ourselves into and out of problems. Mm-hmm. We engineer ourselves into them. We engineer ourselves out of them. And nobody takes us engineering. Look at our guests we had 2 weeks ago. What are they doing? They're working with carbon capture companies. We're engineering ourselves out of this problem right now. Nobody adds that into any of their equations. Nobody adds the changing in clean energy. They just treat all fuel being burned like it was 1952. But the clean burning fuels, these newer cars are far more efficient than anything we ever could have dreamed of 30 years ago. You've got cars that are getting 50, 70, 80 miles to the gallon, and of the fuel they're burning, there's very little emission. Mm-hmm. Most of the byproduct is heat. And carbon. It really comes down to, do you believe carbon is going to be the death of us all? And that's really what it is, because it's...
I don't know if they are claiming it's going to be the death as much as it can we, sort of use it as new technology. Like, can we manage the carbon and make some corrections? That's more or less what I think.
Well, that's the real question. Should we make corrections? Do you really want the same idiots that have screwed up our economy and are doing all the stuff they're doing right now, monkeying around with our environment? There are real questions here about, do we actually have a real problem? We're not seeing any of the stuff that we forecasted over and over and over again. And at what point are we going to make something worse by monkeying around with the environment, by pulling stuff out of the atmosphere? We were convinced we were all going to die by a depleted ozone layer. And then we realized that the ozone layer shifts and moves on its own, and we have no impact on it. And it hasn't really changed at all, as far as recorded history can tell us. We just don't know.
Well, everything in some way is a marketing campaign for something. It's somebody that's benefiting financially off of these things. These people are very savvy business and wealth management. I think is a lot of what many of these concepts all come down to. So there's two things that I want to bring up. So number one, what they say about if the polar ice caps are being that they're melting, they're actually changing the jet stream.
Yes.
So now instead of the jet stream
because
being this
the water's
consistent,
cooling around them because we're adding ice to the water.
Okay, so I don't know how that affects things. So instead of the jet stream sort of carrying from east to west, now it's sort of like looping. And then you get rainfall in areas that are desert or dry areas that cause flooding. So
but we haven't seen that though.
Well, that's what they're
saying. They're predicting it, but we haven't seen it.
They said that. So I didn't really look it up. I just listened to this.
Thank you, Tyler.
I listened to what this guy had to say. This is what he said. So when you're talking about extreme weather patterns, they're saying, "Oh, this is crazy happening here." Well, the reason it's happening is because maybe it's just a natural evolution of the Earth. It might just be a cycle that the Earth goes through. And then when you see these crazy rainfalls in desert locations, it's just because, obviously it's because the polar caps are melting. And then maybe it's just a cycle that the Earth goes through. But then the human beings that are making income have figured out we're going to just make money off of it.
Well, think about it this way. North Africa used to be a bread belt. If you look back historically, during the Egyptian times, a big part of the strife that happened in the Roman Empire was because of wheat from Egypt.
Egypt, yeah.
And now it's a massive dry desert. There was no SUVs 2,000 years ago, 2,500 years ago. This was not man-made global climate change. The Earth absolutely goes through cycles, and we know these cycles. They're mostly based on the Earth, or on the sun.
That's Bryce Canyon. That's awesome.
That is awesome. The sun has very real, very definable cycles. And those cycles, we went through a really bad cooling period. They say a lot of medieval times and the Dark Ages came from a cooling period where crops were hard to grow. It was much colder then. We went through a natural cooling period, and now we're coming out of that and going into a warming period. So there's definitely a lot of natural cycle to all of this.
Because
now,
you can't just necessarily say that the Earth is just going to stay in this like it's got to be an oval, some oblong kind of like, it's not just going in this exact circular pattern around the sun. You know what I mean? There's going to be some variation there.
Well, I think Earth orbital mechanics, that's a 1-year cycle. I don't think that's in fact mattering as much as solar cycles. Solar cycles are much more impactful.
Explain.
Well, because the solar has a much longer lifespan, so it's going to have much longer cycles. So we go through something like 23,000 year cycles on Earth based on the sun's output. The sun ebbs and it flows. It's like anything else. It's not always making the same amount of
So
energy.
the sun could be doing something different.
And we know it is. We
Okay.
know that the last ice age was because the sun was going through a contractionary period where it was generating less energy, and we were getting less energy, and we went through an ice age, and then the sun started ramping up production. And we know it goes through cycles. It's like anything else. It's like a living being.
It's like a breathing
Yes.
organism,
Yeah, and we know that one...
which makes sense.
Yeah.
Everything's an organism.
Well,
right?
Earth, we know that one breath is about a season. Like we've even, it breathes in and it breathes out, and plants grow and they die. And it goes through it's
Makes a lot of sense.
so we know all these things. The real argument is, are we accelerating that through our presence? And that's where the argument comes in. We know those things happen. Are we making it worse? And the whole concept behind Al Gore's book in the 90s was that we have all this trapped energy in the earth, all this energy from biomass, all this energy from dinosaurs and from mammals and from all these things that died and were decomposed and then sunk into the earth and then eventually became base materials and then eventually became oil and then got trapped into pockets deep underground. And now that's trapped energy. That's trapped solar energy. So the sun fed plants, the animals had plants, ate the plants and the animals died, they sunk into the earth, they became oil, and it's trapped solar energy. And Al's, I call him Al, we're on a first name basis. Al's theory is that we are now tapping into millions and millions and millions of years of solar energy and releasing it all at once. That's the theory. So you could see where people would jump on that theory. It makes sense on the surface. But it doesn't really hold water once you start adding in a lot of other factors. It's worst case scenario in that type of theory, we go back to, Cretaceous times, and we've got no polar ice caps, and we've got much higher land mass, we have much higher sea levels, and we've got a much hotter planet. And even that seems highly unlikely because you simply cannot overcome the effects of the sun. All the energy in our solar system comes from the sun. I mean, there's geothermal, and that's the other source, but it's insignificant compared to the sun. The sun dictates where we're at in our cycles, and to a degree, atmospheric composition. So the nitrogen in our atmosphere is a huge stabilizer, and we're arguing over 1% of carbon dioxide is essentially what we're arguing over, up or down. And if you're a pessimist, that carbon dioxide is going to end the world. And if you're an optimist, it's not really going to matter because the planet adjusts because the oceans and the forests are natural air filters. And everybody in between is like, I don't know. And most scientists, this is not what you're going to hear in the media. Most scientists say, I don't know. Most scientists do not have an opinion. There is no consensus on this. Like, they make it sound like we all agree that global climate change is caused by humans. That is not true. Most scientists are like, we just don't know. We don't have the data to make a determination here. We're guessing, and we're making policy off of guesses. And that's where my problem comes in. Now, that said, I hate pollution. So I think if we focus on pollution instead of imaginary ghost problems, we're always going to end up in the right place. if we don't pump a bunch of soot into our air and ruin our waterways and destroy our land, we're ultimately going to come out okay. Like, that's my opinion.
There's one more thing that I stumbled across that I thought was really interesting. So we're planning our vacation down to Savannah, Georgia.
Oh, Savannah's a great town.
Yeah, so I was looking at these parks, right? And I found this one park that's like a gorge, and the whole gorge was actually created because of bad farming technique.
Really?
Yeah. Try to
I've never heard of this. I'll look it up.
It was crazy to look at it and think that this whole cavern was created because of whatever they were doing to the ground. And I didn't like get I was scuffing the surface of my plans.
Is that Tallulah Gorge? Is that?
It might be.
That's my niece's
And
name.
I was scuffing the surface of what we
You
were
got a
going to
niece
do.
named Tallulah?
Yeah.
That's a cool name.
That doesn't look like it.
That does not look like bad farming
No, that's
technique.
definitely. But you know what? It wasn't that far off. It actually looked like a canyon in Arizona, the way it looked. And I did
Providence Canyon?
top things to do in Savannah, or put in Savannah, Georgia vacation.
29 things nobody tells you about Savannah.
There, yeah, it came up under one of those headings. I wish I would have thought. I just thought of it while we were doing this, but it was kind of crazy.
Oh, that is my favorite site. I think you made it up. I think you're a big fat liar, and you're talking to America on. You're using your platform for evil.
We need
Pushing some agenda.
Some agenda. Your bad farming gorge agenda.
We need a new master Googler.
Sorry. No, he's pretty good. He's killing it. Like, look at this. He's got Savannah, Georgia.
Well, just open one of those links and look for like the 29 things to do. It was a park, so.
Will you remember the name if you see it?
I don't even know if I would. I looked at so many different things right now.
It's Providence.
Providence Canyon. That's not it. Like put up parks in Savannah. What's that right there?
He found it.
Providence Canyon.
Providence
Okay.
Canyon.
Maybe that is. Like that picture right up there. See
This one here?
photos? Yeah.
Oh, were they farming giants?
Yeah, this is what I'm talking about. This is like canyon was created from farming. I read the clip and something had to do with farming here.
Let's see.
All right, so how was it created?
It's considered one of 7 natural wonders of Georgia.
Natural wonder.
It's not the right one, I don't think.
Which makes it
not it.
1,083rd overall.
That's horrible. Okay, well, I'm sorry. I thought maybe we could figure it out.
No,
but-
Oh, wait, hold on.
Name,
The deep switch to
Machiavelli's-
erosion due to poor farming practices.
Oh, I'm sorry.
Oh,
No,
the
you're good,
1800s.
buddy.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Look at that.
Yeah, so now I don't know what it looked like.
So partially natural.
Yeah, now they say that modernization due to industrialization stops that.
Stops that type of stuff, yeah.
That's the type of stuff that happens to poor countries that haven't modernized. Once you industrialize and you've got the internal combustion engine, hopefully maybe electric engines, I don't know, whatever, as long as you're not strip mining the earth for, battery components, you should be able to avoid all of that, which is what we do very well. So, yeah, we have 100% in America, we're one of the best at farming in the world. And that is a bold statement because farming is second oldest occupation behind you know what.
Yeah.
Poker.
So, so what
That
I
is a beautiful
so the
canyon,
big
though.
this
I feel like we did a net positive. Look at what we made.
well, yeah, I know, and I was
You've
looking
done
at it. I
good,
was like,
Georgia.
imagine walking through that now though and saying like, oh my God, like farming eroded this in my mind I was like, okay, this was a flat plain and they dumped some chemical on here and they like acidly ate this.
My guess
Isn't that
is
a great word?
my-
Acidly.
My guess is they cut down
Acidly.
all the trees
And it just started eroding.
and didn't do any type of watershed protection and had a river there and just started planting and then just all the soil just ran off into the river and just out into the ocean would be my guess. But I don't know. I'm done.
So I don't know. I think we're gonna go check that out and I'm gonna get a deeper understanding for what
Definitely.
happened there.
Maybe you can get an authentic bean like they used to farm there.
A leftover bean.
The last Georgia bean
One bean.
from Providence Canyon.
What if I got
It's
3?
probably in glass. You could steal it for me.
I think it'd be great if I could find 3 beans.
They plant them.
Bring them back here.
You trade your cow for them. They're magic.
Got 3 magic
All right, we're
beans.
so over time. It's disgusting. I can't do this anymore with you people. I gotta go. All right. I love you, Jimmy. I love you, Tyler. Even though you only said 4 words today. Thank you, everybody. Have a great night. We'll talk about more nonsense next week.
Later.
The Broken Agenda Podcast. Sponsored by Laughing Rock Technology.